So I cheated a little bit because there's a lot of different softwares that are involved with my students logging into Deal and doing different things. But I printed our little activity. And of course, I feel bad because I'm promoting technology, but what is paper if not the utmost wireless technology? So if we can pass it, what you will get is an activity, and I want to direct your attention to this art here. And what I liked about this piece, I don't know who the artist is because I took it. I like taking photographs, and I took it at an exhibit that was mostly by students. But I found it really interesting that this artist was doing this critique of technology through this very simple tool. So I thought it could be an inspiring picture for us today. And let me go back. What did I do? What am I doing? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I call this face-to-face because we have that divide still, right? To have a classroom basically where the instructor is present and students are there. And the other extreme is a class where you never see a professor. Could be a machine, it could be anything. Even though, for those of you I have taken recently classes online, it could be, yeah. It could be really warm too. So we go from one extreme to the other. And when I was invited to, let me see, got confused with that. So my name is Maria Dolores Bolivar, and I have a PhD in literature and cultural studies. I've always worked interdisciplinary. My BA is in political science, and when I did my PhD at UCSD, it was interdisciplinary, and it was really at the beginning of this debate over a new paradigm in culture. So I've always been interested in interpretation, because when we work with our own language or from that big platform that's our own system, our language, we are basically being filtered through kind of an ethnocentric, I'm going to use the word ethnocentric view. So for me, it was really interesting that interpretation was always placed as a tradition that came from Europe, when in fact modernity is marked by the contact between Europe and what is today America, or the Americas, I should say. But the interpreter is a Mayan and Aztec Indian who really transforms our histories. And very few people know about that. So later, just out of the intricate ways of life, I became an interpreter. And most often, when I talk about my trade, because interpretation and translation often are kind of snubbed by academics, what I do is I am a modern Malinche, because I live in a country where people don't want to learn languages, but want to interact with others. So the interpreter becomes that bridge, dealing with these very, very conflicting extremes. So I talk about barriers with my students because it's really about going through this transition between national identities that are no longer the map of the world and taking over this new reality or dealing with this new reality where what we have is very fragmented identities, very local identities, and sometimes within a locality, a very micro concept as far as identity goes. So we don't understand each other anymore culturally. Even to go from Scripps Ranch, where I live, to Chula Vista, we might need an interpreter at some point because the space is really fragmented. So to complicate things even more, technology is very volatile and changing. And we fear technology mostly. If you talk to ordinary people, not academic people, they fear technology, or most of us fear technology in a way because we know that machines will eventually replace a lot of the activities that we do for living. So people are afraid to learn more and get more and more acquainted with technology, especially in the university, where we know we're creating the paradigm that will eliminate humans. So one of the issues that we often discuss as interpreters is, will we soon be replaced by technology? And I've come up with someone else's answer. We are really overwhelmed. But a lot of times when I hear professors of languages mostly, because that's the kind of the group that I interact with on a daily basis, they don't know what to make of the fact that their students come, like we saw in that workshop yesterday, with their own lab in their backpacks. And sometimes at the university that is not as clear, but I taught AP at a college prep Catholic school, and one day I did that, exactly that. I asked the students to put all of their gadgets on a table, and that became really the topic of our class, because they were there supposed to learn Spanish, but they were always distracted with some kind of gadget. And we counted something like 180 some different things, because people put their tablets, or their cell phones, their smartphones, their cameras. We even had some blood count, measure that was digital. So a lot of technology in the classroom. Can have a long list. And so I'm not going to ask you to do the same thing, but I know that most of us carry a lot of gadgets too. So how to make that become part of a class? So most of the times when people say, well, I don't want to learn a new program because a new program comes with content. And that's something that I particularly like about DEAL, because we don't need the content. We don't need a program that is going to conflict with our own teaching. And that's one of the wars that goes on in academics. So what we need is a tool that's kind of empty that we can apply to our own purposes or our own plans. So this is what I found when I got my first iPad. It was in 2011, and curiously, that was a year also that iPads were adopted in some schools in California. By 2013, the majority of schools had adopted iPad, and the iPad was a very, welcome technology. Now, not only iPad, tablets are taking the place of books, and schools it makes me sad in a way, because I come from literature, that books are going to be replaced. but we can debate that at another time. So at the same time, we need to understand that many activities have become oddities. We are transition figures. I consider myself a transition figure. And so when we go through what's going on today, one of the things is that our technology has replaced a lot of activities that we do. And we can take that in a negative way. Like I heard the other day on TV that being in front of a computer has become as harmful as smoking. So I thought, I quit smoking like 13 years ago, and now it turns out that it may be as harmful just to be working in front of my computer. But another good thing is that we can become more efficient, and that's something that's hardly ever discussed. Nobody comes and says, oh, technology has made me so efficient that now I have time to waste time with my friends, visiting Facebook or doing things. Everybody takes the negative side, like, oh, I should not waste time in Facebook. Okay, so like walking to meet with someone or running urgently to give someone a message, giving instructions to a person, all those things are gone. If you do that, they'll consider you crazy. Like, why do you want to walk to tell someone something? Send a text. Writing by hands, flipping through pages, memorizing information, all of that. So I'm going to stop for now, and then now you're all in deal. And what I want you to do is look at my tasks that I gave you and try to solve them. I'm going to set you in groups quickly before you can read a little bit. Okay. So where is my deal? Oh, here. Good. So I grouped you in pairs. And all you need to do is grab your headphones, and you'll be able to chat with your partner. They are interacting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I want to give them.
Hopefully they're not logged into a computer that doesn't have a person in front of it.
So I just gave you your assignment, and you should be able to hear your partner and record the second portion of your assignment. Have you heard your part? Have you listened? Yeah. It'll be just a taste. Who's your partner? Did you ask her for his partner? You can't hear through the.
I can hear Kat, but she can't hear me.
Oh, okay. Let me fix it. One of them is not. able to hear Pat. I don't know why.
Log
Why are
your
they?
to the deal application, or do an all call and just talk to them on your
Okay.
headset. Oh, 1 second. It looks like someone unplugged this. Great.
Oh.
Is this your USB? Can I unplug your USB?
No. Oh, because someone had a USB. Yeah, you can take it out.
Good. If you do
That's
like an
why.
all call. You can hit the all call button, Maria.
Oh,
See the all
just
call button? At the top, there's an all call button. Nope, not that button. There's an all call button. All call. Right next to the randomly group button.
So can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear your partner? Raise your hand if you cannot hear your partner. See, two people cannot hear. 3 people cannot hear. So these are the ones that are moving. You see them, Louis?
You may have to turn up your volume if your computer is muted.
So, do you think it's a volume problem?
I don't know.
I had never seen it dancing like that, moving. Do you hear your partner? Huh?
I know I'm 95, but I don't know. 91 should be my partner, but I don't know.
This is but your partner should work. Okay. We're gonna have to end it. Yeah. So with the questions, I have 10 minutes. Is that what okay. So 6 minutes. Can we substitute that with and do the questions along with these? Okay. Okay. I don't understand why some of the these are the students working in pairs, and this is an enigma to me today. I don't know why it's moving, and if that is the thing that's causing.
Press request attention. So when you press request attention, it sends a signal to the teacher's software to tell the teacher that this student wants attention.
Oh, so the students are calling me.
Hey,
Okay. So that was the first time it ever happened.
then it'll disappear on the teacher's screen. Yes. So it could be that the person that you're connected to doesn't have a headset on because half the people in the room aren't wearing their headset.
Yeah.
So of course, if you're connected to someone that's not wearing a headset, they won't be able to hear you and you won't be able to hear them. Right? So if you could put on your headset, you should be able to hear
I just exchanged a couple of ideas because we're running out of time.
No, it's a two-way
No,
arrow.
it's two-way. So just exchange a few ideas because we're going to have to cut it short. But
1895 or 1876? Okay.
so did you communicate with someone? Okay. We're gonna we're gonna just talk now. Yeah.
1938?
So
63, 1912. I don't know.
it's fun to see them work. So 2 people are working well. I don't know, because they're intellectuals. Intellectuals are too critical, so they're not working. So let's see. Okay, so we're gonna have to move on to our last wrap-up activity quickly. So I'm gonna take my headphones off and recommend that you do too. Okay, so with this and any technology, as you see, we need a lot of coordination, and that's why I think ahead and plan. Like today, I created this sheet because it takes time for the students to come, find their computer, get the program that they need open and all that. So I always create something that I call an icebreaker, but it's meant to get them into the activity. With all of you, I wanted to be have a more receptive conversation, but too bad that it didn't work. We could have had like at least one of the tasks done. When I create these tasks, I always include something that's cultural. And in this case, it was my idea was that because I was going to talk about technology, I was going to do 3 different tasks that relate to technology. So the first one, as you see, is the icebreaker, where they can talk to each other. I saw some of you greeting. It's kind of fun to see that somewhere in the room I have a partner that I don't have to look for or move about to find, because that's in itself intimidating. And then another thing is that you can talk to them and really disconnect yourself from the class. Once you have the headphones, you just get into your activity. There are other sorts of distractions when you work like these, but interpreters always work in the middle of noise and chaos and hospitals or courts where there's a lot of noise. So that's part of the training too. And another thing that this icebreaker creates is the idea that we don't do away with old technology. We can also use paper. We can also use pens. We can also use whatever we know already. So we're not just thrown into the new technology and do whatever, just face the new. The second activity is the actual purpose of the class, which is to record. And for this occasion, I found this recording of Porfirio Diaz that was done way back in the early 1900s, and this was done by Edison. Edison asked celebrities to record for him so he could keep the voices, knowing that people were going to die and we were never going to be able to hear them. So we can actually hear the voice of Porfirio Diaz with almost crystal clear sound. So this is something that might interest my students who are always struggling with sound and how to record. So it takes them beyond this bubble of new technologies. They learn that recording is not that new. And then the last activity is a discussion on how you would what you remember in terms of having used an interpreter. So these 3 activities all relate well with each other and are meant to also create a following. Like when they go home, they will continue to research. They'll be interested either in the sound issue or the inventions. Like the inventions would take a long time for them to figure out. I grouped them purposely. Did anybody get to finish the inventions? What was the oldest one? Writing, even older than paper or any other form of any other technology, really. And then what was the newest one? The laptop in this group. And also I I grouped them by you know, the 1800s and 1900s at me, and observing how the students strategize about discussing is interesting, and you can monitor that with Deal. Using Deal, you can monitor what they're saying, how they're you know, debating what they need to do. Usually I don't give a lot of instructions to my students because I like seeing them resolve by themselves some of the challenges. Interpreters are self-employed people. They're their own managers. And when they come through our program, they get their certificate to go out in the world and promote their work. So they need to be independent, and technology gives us a lot of that independence too. Because if I told them to do this task without the computer in front of them, they could not possibly do any research in the classroom. But here they can. They can just, you know, move on and even create other meaningful activities inspired by the ones I create. So this is it. Time flies. I'm used to teaching 3 hours, so you can tell that I don't manage my short periods so well. But I hope you are interested in our program and interpretation. Is there any question? We could take one question. I can give you the order, so you don't go home frustrated. I know. I think there's a game called Timeline, and it's really fun to play. And so the oldest one is writing, and then the printing press is from 1437. Sign language is 1593. That's interesting because those are also interpreters using sign language. And then the newspaper, the typewriter, the encyclopedia, the pencil. The pencil is not as old as the encyclopedia. The telephone, the cinematographer, the photocopier, the color television, the computer mouse, the smart card, the compact disc, and the laptop computer. And if you have a chance, go to listen to that recording. That's fascinating. Has anybody heard that recording here? It's really interesting because Edison did a lot of experiments with voice, recording voice. And he even had that weird gadget where he wanted to record the voice of the sounds of the dead. So he was obsessed with that. And I became interested with Edison because I lived in Zacatecas, where people really believed that Edison was born. So Edison would be the first immigrant, undocumented, and for 7 years of his life, we don't have any biographical data. So it's very possible that he came from Mexico. So that's why I'm really interested. You can find it online. You just put Porfirio Diaz voice recording Edison, and you'll hear it. Okay, you're welcome.